Tensions between Russia and the West have reached new heights, as Vladimir Putin issues his most direct threats yet. Warnings that the war in Ukraine could escalate into a global conflict. Putin's message is clear. If NATO countries allow Ukraine to strike deeper into Russian territory with Western-made long-range missiles, the consequences will be severe. We will take appropriate decisions, Putin said ominously, hinting at a drastic escalation. For the West, the stakes have never been higher. The war in Ukraine, now in its second year, has already drawn the United States and its allies into an intense, high-stakes game. Countries like the United Kingdom and the United States have supplied Ukraine with billions of dollars in military aid, but they've held back from giving Ukraine weapons capable of hitting targets deep inside Russia, fearing it would cross a line that could drag NATO into direct conflict with Moscow. But now, that line is getting blurrier. With United States and United Kingdom leaders openly discussing whether to lift restrictions on long-range weapons, Putin's response has been swift. He says such a move would change the very nature of the conflict, turning it into a direct confrontation between Russia and NATO. For Putin, it's a battle over what he sees as the future balance of power. And for Ukraine, it's a fight for survival. But the prospect of global war is not just about Putin's words. On the ground, the alliances are growing. Russia is strengthening its ties with other adversarial nations, including China, Iran and North Korea. CIA Director William Burns recently called the partnership between these countries a troubling defense relationship, one that could extend the reach of the conflict far beyond Ukraine. The big question is, how close are we to World War III? Looking back, history shows us just how precarious moments like these can be. In 1962, during the Cuban Missile Crisis, the world stood on the edge of nuclear war. The US and Soviet Union were locked in a tense standoff over missiles placed in Cuba. For 13 days, leaders on both sides feared a single miscalculation could trigger global destruction. And yet cooler heads prevailed. Diplomacy, back-channel negotiations, and a shared fear of mutual annihilation brought the crisis to an end. It's a lesson that remains vital today. Another tense moment came in 1983 during NATO's Able Archer exercise. It was a simulated nuclear launch drill, but the Soviets, fearing it was a cover for an actual strike, prepared for war. Only through restraint and intelligence did the world avoid a potential disaster. In today's conflict, the same risk of miscalculation hangs in the air. Putin's threats of retaliation have often seemed like bluffs designed to intimidate. Yet experts warn that the unpredictability of war means even small incidents, accidental strikes, misunderstandings or provocations could spiral out of control. Keir Giles, a Russian expert, points out that while Putin's rhetoric has been relentless, there's no reason to believe Russia would initiate a suicidal nuclear strike in response to Western support for Ukraine. However, the West can't afford to underestimate Putin's unpredictability or the human cost of this war. As Polish Foreign Minister Radoslaw Sikorski recently reminded us, Putin's red lines have shifted time and again. But amid all the empty threats, the devastation of Ukraine is undeniable. Innocent lives continue to be lost, including a father in Lviv who watched his wife and daughters perish in a missile attack. For now, world leaders are walking a tightrope, balancing support for Ukraine with a deep, urgent desire to avoid a broader conflict. Putin's latest threats have only heightened the stakes. The question is, will this fragile balance hold, or will the world be drawn into an even greater catastrophe? In an age where a single decision could ignite a global war, history offers a stark reminder. Nations must navigate these waters with caution, diplomacy, and a commitment to peace. But as tensions continue to escalate, one thing is certain. The shadow of World War III is closer than it's been in decades, perhaps closer than ever before, and the world is watching. To stay updated on the latest breaking news, subscribe to Breaking Through News on the Newsbreak app or at breakingthrough.com.